back. James Morrissey, how's it going?
Mr. Plumb to the Izzy Dizzy. I don't fucking know. How's it going?
Was that you trying to be street, Jim?
Do you know, like you're midway and you're like, I shouldn't have started.
I'm going to leave it in. I'm not going to edit. I can't be bothered, mate. You know, you've dug this grave. You can.
I'm nearly 40. I should not act street. The cat backwards is a bit of a risk as well, but fuck it, you know.
Yeah, I can't. I'm not in a position to talk, mate. Let's say Happy New Year. We're recording this in the arse end of December, but by the time this goes up, this will probably be New Year. So let's assume that we all make it to 2021. Hi, guys.
Yes.
Congratulations surviving 2020.
Happy New Year. Yeah, well done for surviving the worst year ever. Let's hope this year is a bit better, but
I mean, yeah. I was going to say it can't get worse, but I don't want to jinx it. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. So we're back. Welcome. How are you doing? Welcome to Mad Science Films. I'm Jimmy P, filmmaker, sexual astronaut, and as ever, I'm joined by my bodacious co-host.
Bodacious, dude. Yes, James Morrissey, filmmaker, nickname Angry Jim, although I'm pretty much happy most of the time, but still.
Yeah. I don't know, mate. You smelled a bit of coffee just before we were recording, and there was some choice language. You were very zen about it, let's just say.
I know, I need to find my inner monk, or my inner Buddha, I should say.
When Jim, lets one off, in terms of rampaging on the thing, I've got to turn the volume down so my kids don't hear downstairs.
Yeah.
But, oh, okay. But they're okay.
Yeah.
I've explained Jim to the children. So.
Yeah. Is that Jim again, Dad?
You know how you have tantrums, kind of like that.
Just bigger and louder.
So this week we are, as ever, campaigning for forgotten masterpieces of genre cinema to be given the epic Blu Ray treatment. This week is a special episode, actually. We had a viewer recommendation, which is what we've been begging for since we started this. So thanks very much to Laura Beynon. Cheers, Laura. She actually gave us a heads up on a film which I hadn't seen for years. It is 1970s or 1967, depending on which version you managed to catch. Equinox, aka The Equinox, a journey into the supernatural, aka The Beast. So this isn't my first time watch. Jim, was this your first time watch?
I thought I watched this, and I may have, but it kind of is like a first watch for me. It does ring a bell though, so I might have watched it many moons ago. But yeah.
I remember tracking this down because I remember hearing the story behind it and films that it's influenced, which we'll talk about later. So yeah, it was a lot of fun for me to kind of rewatch this and rewatch it with like certain influences in mind, going, holy moly, there's some shots that are kind of lifted directly by future films, which is, kind of a thing. We'll get into this. I'll do a quick synopsis then. Or Jim, have you got a synopsis? I got one ready if you haven't.
No, yet go.
I'll go.
Oh no, I have actually. Yes, no, I tell a lie. 4 friends are attacked by a demon while on a picnic due to possession of a tome of mystic information told in flashbacks by the sole survivor.
Looking on IMDb and the copy of the film that's most easily available, it's credited to Jack Woods. Although the majority of the film was actually directed by a guy called Dennis Muren. So it was originally kind of shot as a, I suppose, portfolio of like special effects, but strung together as a narrative film to show what kind of Dennis Muren could achieve. At the time, he was pretty much just a kid. And he, this was stop animation, other kind of special effects, visual effects that he was able to do. Basically done to get him other work. But a distributor named Jack Harris kind of saw the film and said, "Oh yeah, we could release this. We just need to, work on it a bit just to make it into a releasable state." So what they did was they re-edited it, they redubbed it, they rescored it, and they had some additional material shot by a guy called Jack Woods, who ended up getting the sole directing credit on the film that was actually kind of released theatrically and then came out on video. Which, to be honest, is a bit unfair because the majority of the material that makes up the film was shot by this guy, Dennis Muren. And the additional material that was shot by Jack Woods isn't that great, to be honest, in my opinion, anyway. So,
but can you because which parts were shot by who? Do you know?
Yeah, so the majority of the films that we watch are actually shot by Dennis Muren. That the majority of the material is his. A lot of it obviously was redubbed, and they shot some additional stuff with the actors. The basic setup's pretty much the same. It's only like how the film ends, not directly ends, but like the big climax, how that happens, that kind of happens slightly different in the other version. The bit with the sheriff, that is actually Jack Woods, the director, plays the sheriff and all that kind of stuff. That's all brand new. There's a bit of debate online. Some people prefer the shorter original Dennis Muren, so that was about 71 minutes, and then the theatrical release is about 82. I kind of prefer Dennis Muren's one and the way it kind of ends, because the sheriff character, to be honest, doesn't add anything to it for me. So Jim, you've only seen the 82-minute version?
Yeah, I've seen the twisted up face kissy sheriff version, which was interesting to watch. So imagine that film with that stuff taken out, a few other bits taken out. To be from what I can tell, and I haven't done like a shot by shot, they've re-edited it, they've tightened it up a bit, which I think is what a lot of people do prefer about the 82-minute version, even though it is longer. Obviously, a lot of the other bits kind of plodding or whatever. Because I think ideally, what Dennis was hoping was to get future work, and spoiler alert, he did. I mean, he ended up working on Star Wars, and its sequels, Jurassic Park, T2. You know, he was a big guy in Industrial Light and Magic. You know, he basically ended up working on anything through the 70s, 80s, and 90s, which had, you know, big special effects. He was your guy, and he still works today. You know, he's like still attached with the Star Wars films. I think more in a consultant kind of role rather than a nitty gritty. Jack Woods, however, the guy who was credited as director, he went to work on as like sound editor on Critters 2, and look who's talking to. So, you know, don't feel too bad for Dennis Muren. He ended up, you know, working on some pretty high-profile flicks in the end. So, yeah. I mean, so like I said, it was my first time kind of watching it. I enjoyed it. I mean, I think this film was shot in the 60s, wasn't it?
Late 60s, from what I can see.
Yeah, so released in 1970. But, so I think you got to kind of take away your initial thoughts on how dated it looks, and some of the acting and whatnot, and just watch it for what it is. And I really enjoyed it. I kind of enjoyed the mystery. I like that non-linear kind of storytelling. That was quite cool.
Yep.
Really enjoyed the special effects. Takes me back to certain films growing up.
Yep.
Yes, it's very dated. Yes, it's not very scary. But again, if you kind of just put that to one side and try and enjoy it for what it is and try and get into the story, I really enjoyed it. I thought the acting wasn't the best. I tell you, the guy who plays David Field and Edward Connell, I kind of liked him, but he come across almost too calm in a lot of the scenes. And the voice, I'm not sure, I didn't check him on his IMDb, but I'm sure he went into radio or something, because he had such a good voice. He was almost too rounded. And
I think if I got this right, his voice wasn't actually the actor's voice. So again, I think it's dubbed by a different thing. The version that I listened to, the 1967 version, sounds like a completely different guy. So it is possible that the redub voice is a completely different actor, and you're familiar with him from God knows what, to be honest. So that,
I think that was a poor decision, to be honest.
Yeah, what I would say,
thinking about it now, he actually almost sounded like he wasn't there.
Yeah,
he said he's very detached from what was going on. So
I think both versions of the film, they didn't have live sound, so both versions of the film, they were ADR'd in later. What I would say is that from what I can tell, the 67 version does have the original actors' voices, and it does sound a little bit more normal. And I think that's a lot of things. We've talked about this with other films which have been dubbed films. You know, the acting seems worse when it's dubbed, and even more so when it's dubbed by somebody who isn't the original actor. So I wouldn't say the acting is greatly improved in the 67 version, because I don't think that's that great at all. Yeah. But I would say that, like you said, the character of Dave, he's actually quite likable in both versions of the film. So no matter who the voice actor is in there, the visual expressions, it does kind of carry you through, and it does remind me a bit, and we'll get onto this a bit more, of Bruce Campbell's performance as well. So,
yes. I quite enjoyed the editing. Some really cool editing, use of quick cuts, and
I think a lot of that is in the 70s version. I think a lot of it's kind of tight in that 70s version, which is why a lot of people prefer the theatrical release, which of course the majority of people would have seen, for the nostalgia factor, that's the version they would have seen. The 67 version, I think, was only really distributed when Criterion picked it up and released it in America. It was pretty much unseen before that. So, of course, if you've got the nostalgia factor, you're going to prefer the cut that you originally saw for the most part. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, it definitely makes sense.
It's why I feel kind of like the original theatrical cut of Blade Runner with the Harrison Ford voiceover, was because for like 20 odd years that's the only version I knew, and I grew up with that. And so the final cut, or the ultimate cut, or the director's cut, or whichever cut exists out there, I can see it's a better film, but I kind of prefer the version that I grew up with. So I think that's the case for a lot of people as well.
I think that's just that's definitely the way the cookie crumbles in a lot of films. You tend to like the version you watched, and we are quite particular as fans of films that if something changes or alters, like even like the Star Wars, the original trilogy, when they started adding special effects and CGI, I wasn't particularly into that, even though you can see a reason for it, I guess. But you do get a bit attached. Well, I mean, just to freshen it up for like a new audience, I could see why they would want to do it. But for me, being a fan of the originals, I mean, that was part of their charm and their look and that style and that. I'd imagine somebody going in and trying to jazz up the fucking thing. It would just be horrific. It would be like sacrilege.
It'd be like that prequel remake kind of thing.
Yeah,
definitely. Okay, so let's tackle the deadite in the room, which is, and I think this is the reason Laura gave us a heads up. So Laura was watching along with one of our watch parties on Facebook. Join us, why don't you? Yes. And I think we were talking about, oh Christ, we said this so many times, I can't remember which one we were talking about. It could have been the Drifting Classroom episode where we were talking about how Hauzu inspired Evil Dead. So Laura then gave us heads up on Equinox, which I'd heard about, and I'd seen the film before, and I'd made the connection about Evil Dead, but it wasn't one that kind of popped into my head immediately. So yes, there are overall there's the plot similarity. So as Jim said in the synopsis, 4 friends are attacked by a demon while on a picnic. Similar thing. A group of friends go to a cabin in the woods and then read from a book, or play a tape from a book that summons the forces of evil. There's that is a big similarity. There are also shots like the book coming from the clouds and opening up in front of the camera and all of that. Again, pretty much a direct lift from Equinox into Evil Dead as well. There are other kind of similar ideas or whatever. I'd say Equinox is less full-on horror, more kind of fantasy elements, which
I enjoyed the mystery of it as well. I quite enjoyed the mystery, and like I said, stripping away the datedness of the film, but just kind of like, who is this guy, what happened, going back, story unfolds. So kind of like that. It's not like dark woods, demonic possession and gore, like so much gore in Evil Dead, and this is not like that at all.
So I think the difference is, the main difference is like Equinox, apparently they didn't have the lights to shoot at nighttime. So for the most part, it's all during the day. Some when they film indoors or whatever, I think they did have some lights, but they didn't have a generator, so they couldn't shoot outdoors at night. Evil Dead, obviously, most of the time So yes, obviously that would inform kind of the horror aspect in terms of if it's shot at night. Also, obviously they went gory, where Equinox definitely didn't go gory, and I think overall Equinox was more inspired by the films of Harryhausen, Jason and the Argonauts and all that kind of stuff when we were growing up. So yeah, that Sam Raimi hasn't confirmed that he's seen the film. So there's been nothing online to say, yes, I've seen that film, and obviously, yes, it inspired it. People who've worked on the film, like the special effects team, admit that they have seen it and obviously were inspired by it. They haven't spoken for Raimi, but they've said, look, the practicalities of shooting low budget horror means, you have a group of teens, because that's the actors that you hang around with when you're making films when you're a kid, and yeah, you go out in the middle of nowhere and you shoot it. So I don't know. It depends. It depends. He hasn't come out and said I haven't seen that film, but he hasn't come out and said I have seen that film as well. So I don't know. I reckon he probably has. But to be honest, does it matter?
No, I think it's, look, you could be inspired by other films and filmmakers, and that's totally normal. I mean, you'd be a liar if you said that you weren't inspired or kind of borrowed a similar kind of idea and made it your own. I think that's the point. He's made Evil Dead his own. It's a lot of similarities, but it's his own beast. You wouldn't say it's a direct photocopy of Equinox at all. And it's far more adventurous with the shots. Like Equinox, there's some POVs and comfortable close-ups and stuff like that, and there's a bit of that in Evil Dead, but I think Sam Raimi takes it to a greater level visually and stylistically with the choice of shots and stuff like that. So you can't take anything away from Evil Dead, but there's definite similarities there. Whether he's watched it and it lurks in the recesses of his mind and he wasn't aware of it, which that can happen. But yeah, there's some definite similarities there. But,
I think that the complete lifts, like I was talking about the shot with the cloud, the smoke and the book or whatever. And the special effects guys have kind of admitted, we've seen the film, then they could have done a direct lift without Raimi realizing it. So at the end of the day, it's the same as Cabin in the Woods. Obviously, that is massively inspired by Raimi, but there's no Raimi credit in Cabin in the Woods at all. So inspiration was inspiration. Which Blu-ray label do you want to approach and say, hey guys, release this in the UK?
Well, the Criterion don't have a UK. Is it just the UK we're doing? Sorry, hang on. Let me just.
So it's been released in the US by Criterion. I think originally they did like a 2-disc DVD, but they have done a Blu-ray release out in the States.
So I've gone for Criterion. They've got a nice little catalog there. Films like The Blob from the 50s. So they tap into that kind of old school horror and Night of the Living Dead. I think everybody's got Night of the Living Dead, to be honest. Also, Signal One Entertainment, they got a lovely backlog of old kind of horrors. They got the Memphis Waltz, about a satanic pianist, which I had a look up on, starring Alan Alda. So, they might want to take that up. And Grindhouse releasing loads of midnight kind of movies, old school stuff. I Drink Your Blood, Cannibal Ferox. So, they might want to pick that up too. So,
Nice. Yeah. Similar to you, I got Criterion. They did a release in the US. They have started in the past couple of years doing UK releases. So, port that stuff over here, put it on, a UK release. We'd gladly lap that up. Otherwise, the classics, Arrow, they put out a lot of, as part of their American Horror Project, we talked about in previous episodes. I think they could do a great release of this as well. Definitely. I think I know they've released Criterion stuff in the past where they've actually bought over the extras. And knowing the guys behind Arrow, I think they'd also, put in some of their own extras as well. So, absolutely.
Which would be quite nice because there's a bit of a backstory, isn't it? There are references and that
absolutely, mate. Absolutely.
Dual director thing going on. Yeah, cool.
So, so Jim, if people dug this film and they wanted to check out more in that kind of genre, where would you recommend they venture to next?
I kind of split this up a little. So for your demonic kind of stuff, Evil Dead is an obvious one. Perhaps like The Gates, you could probably dig up.
Nice.
If you like that kind of non-linear mystery, then films like kind of Memento, most fucking Quentin Tarantino films, they're non-linear. And of course, Ray Harryhausen films, if you like that kind of special effects. I love the Sinbad the Sailor film, so anything that he's done, check those films out too.
Nice. I mean, I'm pretty much just going to copy what you said. Maybe we should compare notes before. I don't know. So again, I'm assuming everybody's seen Evil Dead, but rewatch it to get a side-by-side kind of comparison. Also check out Army of Darkness, which obviously is the sequel but that's more fantasy than horror. So, and again, some of
Yeah.
the Deadite designs are very similar to a lot of the demons we see in Equinox as well. So that's kind of fun. And yet, like Jim said, check out the works of Harryhausen, Jason and the Argonauts, to see what inspired Dennis Muren to, put together the Equinox in the first place. So yeah, cool. All right, you guys. So if you dug this film or if you've seen it, let us know in the comments. Anything else you think we should check out, also let us know in the comments, like Laura B did this week. So yeah, cheers, guys.
Yes, please.
And Jim, take us away.
So if you like this video, then please hit the like button. If you've been enjoying the Mad Science content, then why not subscribe to our channel and follow us on Facebook. If you have any comments or suggestions, then leave those in the comment section down below. Thank you and goodbye.